I used to think about this a lot early on,
No.
and then I thought, fuck that. I'm going to be who I authentically am. If you don't resonate with me, and that's fine, not
No.
everybody's going to. Like I said,
No.
sorry, I'm not changing my language because you think I should.
Welcome to Happy to Offend You. Life guarantees that somebody's going to be offended by anything that you do. In fact, somebody right now is offended by life itself, but they don't have to be. This show guarantees that someone is going to be liberated from being offended by somebody else's offensive behavior. What? Yes, we said it. This show sets out to prove not only how to be liberated from being offended, and also how to be happy to offend. So if you're already offended, welcome to the show. And here's your host of The Very Offensive, Michelle Nedelec. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelec, and I'm super glad that you're here with us today because I am here with my most amazing guest, Brad. Brad, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for this incredible opportunity to be on your platform and to chat with you. I'm looking forward to jumping in and having a good conversation. Lots of fun. I'm sure we'll have
Excellent.
lots of laughs.
We will definitely have lots of laughs. So let's start off with kind of a highlight of who you are and what you do for business and give people some background.
Sure. My name is Brad Walsh. I am based out of Toronto, Canada. I am a podcast host, producer, coach, photographer, audio-visual tech, but podcasting is my main focus. And so my podcast platform is all about elevating and amplifying the voices of women through the platform, sharing their stories.
Oh, I love it. So a little bit of background. How did you get into all the videography? I can't even say it.
Videography?
Photography, all that shit.
Look at this. We're starting with the laughs already.
Exactly. How do you get
All the
into offery
ographies.
as a thing?
Well, the photography I started back in high school. I learned how to shoot on black and white film and develop my images in the darkroom. So all of that fun and magic of being in the darkroom and seeing those images that I created in the camera come to life on the paper, that was just magic for me. And so I've had photography in my life forever. The videography and the audio production and video production and all of that stuff, I went to college for that. I took a 2-year program and I worked in the AV industry for 20 plus years. First, I worked with an AV company where we traveled around North America and we set up video walls for corporate shows and concerts and all of these other things. And then I ended up getting tired of living on the road and living out of a suitcase for 8 years and transitioned into corporate and worked as an audiovisual technician at an accounting firm. And then my photography got tied in with the accounting firm stuff. And then I made the jump after 12 and a half years in corporate to starting my own photography business, which then evolved into the podcast. And here we are today.
Nice. I love it. And it always kind of cracks me up to hear that you worked with accountants in video.
Yeah.
So you just stared at them erasing things off of spreadsheets.
Creating silly little skits and things like that to bring in clients and all of these silly things.
I love it.
There wasn't a lot of room for creativity, we'll say.
You know, I'm kind of guessing that, but you never know.
Yeah.
It's really what it came down to.
Yes.
Awesome. So when it comes to kind of what you're doing now with the Empowerography, what have you noticed as kind of the biggest need in that area? Like, why did you decide that, hey, we need some empowerment here. We need to elevate. We need to educate, all the things that you said, okay, this is what they need. What was the crevice or the hole that you noticed there?
I think that because of the patriarchy and all the bullshit that comes along with that, women have been stifled and silenced and quieted and not had. I mean, yes, of course, there are women out there who host platforms to elevate and amplify women's voices, but I think that there's a little more, I don't want to say credibility, but I think there's a little more of authenticity when it comes for me as a man hosting a platform to help elevate women. I just wanted to provide a space and a platform for women to be able to share their stories and to amplify their voices and get their stories out there with the hopes of helping, reaching, and inspiring as many women as we possibly can. And I mean, when I started the podcast, it'll be 3 years this month, actually. I didn't know of many or any men out there who host a platform that solely focuses on and highlights women and sharing their stories and amplifying their voices. So I figured this is a perfect opportunity. As you well know, as a podcaster, you need to do something that's going to make your podcast stand out, something a little unique that's going to make it stand out. And so I thought, this is it. This is my perfect niche I can carve out, because since I come from that photography background where I was already empowering women through my photography, it was just like I guess, kind of a natural progression into creating another platform to share women's stories, because the images tell a story of that woman. And so moving into the podcasting was just it was just a natural transition into providing another space to help amplify the voices of women and elevate them.
Nice. And I don't know if credence is the word that you were looking for, but I certainly see that as, you know, women promoting women, we can't have that kind of credence that you can just by being a guy and going, hey, you guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Let's have
Well,
this space here.
you know, what's funny is that I've heard, obviously, I've been doing this for 3 years now, and I've gone back and talked to different women that I've interviewed, and I've heard even women now that I'm just being introduced to and talking about having on the podcast, like, what's your angle? Why is a man hosting a platform? Which I kind of get. I can understand that, because, you know, there are men out there who do things like who have ulterior motives, but I can assure you there is no ulterior motives here with me. This is all about shining a light on these women and sharing their stories. But I can understand where that thought process would come into play and where it would come from. But no, that's not me. I'm here to shine a light on these women.
Well, and I think too, as a photographer, you see things in a different light, because I've heard a lot of photographers, especially of particularly women and women's portraits, how women tend to act. I'll say we tend to act off camera is totally different than when we get on in front of a camera, which is then kind of this almost paranoid of what are they going to do to me if I get on screen. And I think a lot of that has to be torn down. And the only way you can tear it down is if you can see it. And photographers tend to have this insight that the rest of the world just doesn't have, because it's become so obvious when you're outside the limelight to inside the limelight to back outside of it again.
Well, we get to see, I mean, I get to witness transformation unfold right before my very eyes. I have the opportunity to see these women in a light that they don't normally get to see themselves in. And I can show them that. And that is the beauty of that photography, is being able to show these women who they truly are, and so that they can start embracing that and start gaining that confidence. Because I mean, let's be honest, these women that are coming in for these sessions, it's an incredibly vulnerable state to be in. I mean, some of them, not all of them, but you're in your underwear and bra in front of a stranger. So that is incredibly vulnerable. And I understand that, but it gives me the opportunity to show them who they truly are inside and out, which is absolutely transformational. It's incredible to witness that. I compare it to watching a caterpillar transform into a butterfly. By the end of the session, they're a butterfly, and they're walking out. You can see it there. You could see the bounce in their step, the straightness in their back, and the air, like it's in the air. The confidence is there. And that's a beautiful thing, to be able to provide that kind of an experience for another human being. There aren't enough words to describe how incredible that is.
I love it. Well, and it's often been said, like, guys will just have this, I don't know if it's apathy towards their body, it is, but they just go, you know, you show them a beach and you show them water, they just strip it all off and off they go. And meanwhile, the women are like, is there somewhere I can change behind?
Can you hold up that towel so I can change?
Like, I'm not even comfortable doing that thing, let alone the thing before the thing, let alone the thing before the thing. And a lot of times in especially boudoir photography, I hear, but I hid those parts of me that I didn't want to show. And I'm like, you're missing the boat. It's not about hiding the parts and only highlighting good parts. That's not what it's about. So talk to me a little bit more about kind of what the process is that you would have, if you still do, take people through to get to that point, so that they can see things.
Well, I mean, the rapport and the relationship starts right from the initial call from the client or potential client to start establishing that trust. Because again, it goes back to that vulnerability piece, right? They're stepping into their vulnerability when they agree to do a shoot. So I start off with a conversation. I set up multiple emails back and forth, and then we set up a time to do a pre-shoot consult. So I have a list of questions that I go through with my potential clients, and one of the first questions I ask them is, why do you want to do this? What is the reason behind it? Why are you celebrating a birthday? Are you celebrating an anniversary? Are you celebrating the end of a marriage? Are you like, what are you celebrating, right? And so we talk about that, and then I asked, I so often I've had women say, I'm doing this for my husband, my partner. And I stop them right there and say, no. That's not what this is for you. This is to celebrate who you are and stepping into your authenticity and your power and your beauty. Sure, gift the images to your partner. Absolutely, 100%. But it's not even about the images. It's about the experience. Right? That's what it's about. It's not about the images. The images are just a byproduct of the experience. You'll have those to look back on 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, and or whatever. But I also make sure that I stress to my clients that you don't have to wear lingerie to do a boudoir shoot. And that's a common myth. Women think that they have, no, you don't. You can wear whatever and maybe there are shooters out there that only do lingerie, and that's fine. That's your cup of tea, whatever. But I tell my potential clients that you don't have to wear lingerie. You can wear whatever you want. If you want to wear cut off shorts and a t-shirt, a tank, I don't care. You can wear whatever the hell you want. It's not about the lingerie. It's about bringing out and showing your beauty and empowering you to feel confident. That's what it's about. So we go through the process of the pre-shoot consult. I also have a Pinterest board that I've created for all my potential clients with suggestions for outfits and ideas for what to wear. I send them a link to the Pinterest board. I'm also partnered up with different lingerie companies. So I have affiliate links that I can send to my potential clients. So if they are looking to wear lingerie, here's some links. You can get discounts on lingerie you want to buy for your shoots. And then we get down, and then they book in, and we get down to doing the shoot. And more often than not, they'll walk in feeling very nervous, vulnerable, as I said. And for me, while I'm shooting, my process is, and I think this is incredibly important, not a lot of photographers do this from my understanding, is I'm constantly showing them the back of the camera to show them what we capture, because there are a lot of photographers out there who don't want to show the images because they're not edited or they're not cleaned up, or I show them the image. I want them, it's got to be a fun time for them too, right? I want to engage with my clients while I'm shooting. I want to have conversation, laughs. The studio is a very light place, and I absolutely do not allow any negative talk in the studio. I don't want to hear it. I shut that shit down right away. There's no negativity allowed in the studio. Only positive. So I'm telling them how amazing they're doing throughout the shoot. And I'm constantly, every 10 minutes or so, I'm showing them the back of the camera so they get an idea. You don't want your client sitting there and I'm there snapping away these pictures, and they're probably in their head thinking, well, is anything good? Like, how do I look? Are we getting any good image? So I'm always ensuring that I show my clients the back of the camera so they see. That also gives them more enthusiasm to get more into it. And so I've had many women that have walked into the studio, again, very nervous, vulnerable. And by the time we're finished up, I'll say, okay, we're done. We've got enough images. That's a wrap. Oh, I was just getting into this. I was really enjoying this. And I love hearing that. It's so fun. But I want them to have a fun experience too. So I want to keep it very light, laughing, talking, communicating constantly, because I don't want them sitting there with me just shooting, not talking to them. They don't know what the hell's going on. So that's basically my process. I mean, I also tell them, bring as many outfits, bring more outfits than you think you'll need, because we want to have choice. So in between, we'll go through, we'll change outfits, all of that stuff. So it's a very, very interactive, integrative experience for them.
Nice. Well, and I think too that the empowerment can't happen unless they're part of that experience, because to just take an hour of a shot and then you're almost treating her like she's a model, which comes back to that objectification to you see what you like and off we go. Like if she's not part of that whole interaction, then there's no empowerment going on. It's just a shot. And I think too, a lot of women have experiences like mine where my parents had this unbelievable ability to be able to catch us when we're eating something or when we're looking like shit. It's like, and all of our pictures are like, And we're like, that's awesome. Thanks. And it was at a time too when you didn't see the picture till 3 weeks later. It's like, oh, yeah, it was fucking awesome. Thanks, Dad. All of my wedding pictures.
Thanks
I'm
for
like,
that. No, it's incredibly important to have that interaction during the shoot. You're right. It's so integral. It's one of the most important pieces.
And if somebody's never seen themselves looking good on a picture, it's like in that moment, it's like, oh my God, like who is that?
That helps boost the interaction between my clients and I too, because they're getting more they're getting that feedback and they're feeling more confident, which absolutely 100% comes across in the images. Because if you're standing there and you're like, when we first get into it, they're, like I said, they're very nervous. So that gets portrayed in those images, right? So you have to have that interaction to make them feel more comfortable, which in turn makes them feel more confident, which in turn creates beautiful images.
Nice. I think you have a New York art show right there, going from the beginning to
that'd be awesome.
Even if you had the exact same picture, like over a period of half an hour, and just being able to see what the difference is, because it's so true. And initially when I was getting in front of a camera, like it was brutal. It was like, okay, it took half an hour to get you're gonna be okay. Nobody's gonna shoot you. You'll be fine. I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna do it. And then the last 3 pictures were awesome. Okay,
well, I also have my hair and makeup artist there with me, and she helps me out, and she's talking to them as well. She gets them all dolled up and prettied up for their images, and so it's an experience, is what it is. It really is. Yeah,
I love it, and I think the elevate too comes into play with. It's not just kind of who you are. It's more of a idea of who do you know you are inside. So it starts with a question of who do you want to be, but inevitably they can't want to be something that they aren't already. They just kind of haven't exemplified it outside of themselves yet.
Yeah, it really is a beautiful process. Truly, it is. I get to witness transformation, and there is not many things I can think of that are more beautiful than to witness something like that unfold right before your very eyes. It's incredible.
Nice. So last question about your business in particular is, when you're working with people, are you looking to do kind of the photography thing? Are you looking for like business branding? What's your outcome now with your clients?
Now I'm thinking I'm going to shift out of boudoir into actually what I'm going to call empowerment photography, or the empowerment sessions, where I'm capturing women in their essence, and it's only going to be black and white images. So unlike boudoir, these images can be used for branding. They can be used across many different platforms and things, to use many different uses, right? Boudoir, you can't use boudoir for branding unless that's your business. Yeah, depending on your business, right? But predominantly you can't. So I'm going to be shifting my photography focus into that. And that kind of pairs up nicely with the podcast too, because most of the guests I have on the show are entrepreneurs. So undoubtedly some of them are going to be looking for branding images. So that's where I'm thinking of taking my photography business and kind of tying those two in together more deeply connected.
Nice. I love it. So when it comes to offending people, let's start with you. Have you ever tipped the apple cart in your industry, so to speak? Have you ever offended anybody?
Well, with the photography, I try really hard. You have to be very, very careful, especially being a man working with women in I cannot say. So I have to say, no, I have not done that there, because
not even with your peers, other photographers, and going, hey, dude, that's inappropriate behavior. Don't do that.
No, I honestly, I haven't.
You're just way too nice. That's what the problem.
No, it's not too nice. It's just a matter of, I don't want to get sued.
Oh,
you know,
right.
You have to be very careful. That's why I always have a makeup artist with me in the studio, because the potential client could say anything that I did something or I didn't, and that I don't want any issues.
No, I'm talking more the industry kind of stuff, but that's okay. So when it comes to your client base, and when they're doing their shoots, I can only but imagine that there's a lot of women that are more worried about everybody else around them than they are about themselves, for starters, because that tends to be a norm. And they're afraid to offend somebody, which thinking when
listen, what happens when you offend someone? Do they get injured? Do they bleed to death? Do they die? No. So fucking get past it. Get over it. What's the big deal?
They sue you.
If you don't like what I'm saying, leave the room. It's just like the TV or the radio. If you don't like what you're hearing, change the channel. Just walk away. What we say isn't going to be for everybody. Everybody's not going to resonate with it, and that's okay. People need to get over themselves. That's the problem.
True. And I mean, you're talking to me.
Yes, I know.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that one. When it comes to women getting their pictures done, and I think in the corporate, in the entrepreneurial world, you're going to see a lot more of, oh, I can't do that because people won't like that. Oh, I can't do that because I'm not going to get the clients I want. I have to have a certain image, otherwise, people are going to get offended. And I think in business, women are very much concerned about that. You can't have the wrong kind of blouse. You can't have the wrong kind of neckline. You can't have the wrong, and it shows up in media all the time. When somebody is very powerful, fantastic, amazing, they're like, oh my God, did you see her shoes? I just want to.
This actually brings up a very interesting point. I posted something, was it earlier? No, it had to be last week. I was excited about something. I was speaking at a podcasting conference and I put in my post about it and I swore, I said, fuck. And a woman I know messaged me, she said, should you really be using that language? Don't you want to sound more professional? I'm like, listen, and I used to think about this a lot early on. Yep. And then I thought, fuck that. I'm going to be who I authentically am. If you don't resonate with me, and that's fine, not everybody's going to, like I said. Sorry, I'm not changing my language because you think I should sound more professional. Who the fuck are you? I'm being authentically who I am. And that's what people come to me for, is because I am who I am. If you don't like my swearing, fine. I won't swear like a trick. If you tell me, if we're in a conversation, Michelle, like if I'm sitting here face to face with you, or even this, if we're talking and you tell me, listen, Brad, that your swearing is a little too much. Okay, fine, Michelle. I will stop swearing. So no problem. But I'm not going to change who I am in posts and things like that I'm putting on social media or conversations. If someone's not saying anything, I'm not going to change who I am. I swear that's who I am. Like it or lump it. You don't like it? Don't listen to me then. Don't read my post. I'm sorry that you're offended, but tough shit. Move on.
Well, you know me, I'm good. Yeah, Alberta girl, and you can't handle. You can't handle an F-bomb here. You're not going to make it here, which is why all my shows are rated. Just say it right there. It's like, dude, you are not going to like me by the title of the show and or by the fact that it's rated, and it's a red curtain. Come on in. But you're the one that has to raise the curtain.
Here's the velvet rope. You cross over, cross at your own what's the word I'm looking for? At your own. Like, it's up to you. This is what you're in for, though, if you do cross that velvet rope. And I mean, I just laughed to myself when she sent me that message. She direct messaged me on Facebook and said, should you really be doing that, or don't you want to sound more professional? Well, don't they say that people who swear more are more authentic and smarter?
Right? I don't get tripped up by my anger management issues either.
Now, if someone's swearing at me, calling me names, and I don't want that. But again, if I don't like it, I have the option to opt out and leave. So it's really up to the individual.
Well, and it is funny because it brings up a story of my sister and a friend of hers were in business together once. And my sister at the time, which I thought was really weird, wouldn't say shit if her mouth was full of it. And her partner was like, fucking fuck, then fuckity fuck. So when it came to team meetings and things like that, when her partner would swear, they're like, oh yeah, okay. Carolyn goes, oh fuck, and everybody's like,
because they weren't used to it.
Exactly. It's like, somebody had to have died. Buildings coming down. What's going on? Like,
who the hell is this woman?
Right? I thought that was hilarious. And I think too, it's just, you get used to it, and it's just not that big of a deal. It's just a word. And I think too, when it comes to image, it's not that big of a deal. It's just my image. My
Yeah.
mother used to get super freaked out that, your reputation is in everybody else's hands. And after a while, I mean, I think it might have been about 9 or 10 when I went, I can't fucking control everybody else's hands. It's not my
that's the
control.
wrong way to
So
look at
if
it.
you want to fuck me over, you're going to. And you know what? I'm just going to do my thing because this is not worth my time and or effort to do this.
Yeah.
And in fact, I probably turned in more of a rebel because of it and went like, I'm just going to put it right out there. I'm badass. I'll do whatever the fuck I want. And
Well,
did we not cover that? Okay.
Yeah, like
onward.
I really believe your vibe will attract your tribe. The people that aren't meant to find you or don't resonate with who you are and the way you behave and how you present yourself. Oh, well, that's okay. Not everybody's going to, and that's all there is to it. I think that bit about putting your reputation in other people. No, my reputation's in my hands. I'm the one in control of that. No one else is in control of who I am and my reputation. That's up to me. If I fuck myself and smear myself all over and destroy my own reputation, that's on me. I have no one else to blame but me. Right? So absolutely. I think we just have to be who we authentically are, and that's all there is to it.
And I think people listening know that I do what I do in order to be able to expand the boundaries and give people permission to be able to be whoever they are. And if their level of permission is, I can wear red. Yeah, you can wear red. You'll be okay. You'll do awesome.
It's okay. Yeah.
That's fine. And that's totally cool. And that's fun. And it makes me laugh and smile in the sense of, I love the kind of the naivety of the question and the level of permission that people give themselves when they do things like that. And, I'll be all that in a bag of cheese no, that's not an expression. All of that in a
bag of chips.
There you go. It's not a
bag of cheese, bag of chips, whatever. It's all the same.
Exactly. But being able to see people in their own space of figuring out why they're afraid of offending other people around them and just realizing that, hey, whatever it is that you do, just do it and be proud of it. If you
that's right. Own it.
Wear
own
red,
your shit.
wear red. Yeah.
Own it. That's it. It's funny. I've had women come on the podcast and we'll be doing the interview because mine aren't done live. Yep. And so we'll be doing the interviews and I'll be talking and I'll start swearing and they're like, oh, you can swear? Yeah, you can. Fuck yes, you can. Of course you can. I don't care. That stuff doesn't bother me. I don't get offended. That shit doesn't bother me. Be who you are. If swearing's not your thing, that's okay. What's that?
Not even tabernacle, sacre.
No. If swearing's not your thing, that's okay too. I don't care.
Yeah.
But no, you can let loose. Be who you are. Let your freak flag fly, I say.
Exactly. And when it comes to being offended, is there anything out there that offends you? There's got to be something. Just look south of the border.
Well,
it's got to be traffic. Come on, you live in the 401. There's got to be something.
People piss me off, but pissing you off and offense is two very different things. So,
is it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would say so. I don't get offended because someone cuts me off. It pisses me off, but I don't get offended by it. Offense. I don't know.
That's funny. So offended is worse than being pissed off in that instance.
I think so. I think so. Yeah. I would have to agree with that 100%. But as far as me getting offended, no, I can't think. I mean, some of the shit that's going on, as you said, right now, south of the border and in the world offends me. But I mean, as far as everyday stuff, no, I don't get offended. I mean, you just stay in your lane. Just do you. Just do what makes you happy. Be who you are, and don't bring harm to other people. Just do good, and that's it. That's all we have to do. It's pretty simple.
Nope.
So no, I don't really get offended.
Let's talk about this fine line, because I think it has become a point of contingency is when do your rights stop and mine begin? And and I think that unless my options have been eliminated, your rights don't affect me. But that's kind of my take on the whole situation. any kind of feed into, because I think people do get lost in the quagmire of what are your rights and what is offensive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the right to infringe my beliefs on someone. I mean, I can share them, but then this goes into a whole other thing about having conversation and actually, when you're in these conversations with other people, listening properly and allowing them the opportunity to share their beliefs. But you don't have any right to push your beliefs on me. And let's use religion just to be controversial. Right? Religion is one of those things. Religion, politics, COVID, and the vaccination are things that we shouldn't talk about, right?
I remember when it was sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and now you can talk about all of those. It's like,
yeah. Oh. Well, now it's out there for everybody. I mean, there is no, the lines have been pushed and pushed and pushed, or blurred, as we'll call them. But I don't think that I have a right to push my beliefs on anyone, nor does anyone have a right to push theirs on me. And they do, a lot of religions do that. Don't push your religion down my throat. If I want to listen to you about your religion, sure, then I have the option to say, yes, I'd love to hear you out, or no, I don't want to hear it. Go away. Like the Jehovah's that knock at your door. It's like, get out. I don't want to hear it. That's it. You know, we have the right to decide what comes into our purview or what we have access to. And I think that's what it is. You have to stand up and tell the people, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't have any interest in this or whatever, you know, but that's up to the individual.
I do think it's really funny that people get offended by Jehovah's going door to door. I think it's hilarious. My stepson said, what do I do? I said, go to the door naked, see what happens.
That might offend some people.
But that's his house.
That's right. He can. Absolutely. 100%.
You knocked.
He has
Door
the
was
right.
open.
That's right.
I'm pretty sure that's biblical.
He has the right to show up at the door naked if he wants. 100%. That's his right. And if they get offended by it,
don't knock
fuck off and leave. Don't come to my door. I guarantee you they won't be coming back to your door.
Exactly.
So that's one way to stop the problem if it's a nuisance.
Well, and I think that a thing too is a nuisance isn't, well, and it may be offensive if it's a nuisance, but I mean it's not the end of the world. People get over it. It's, and in my opinion, and I have only met so many of them, but typically Mormons to me are just the nicest people on the planet. I mean, I grew up Catholic and they're just hypocrites.
Oh,
Mormons are,
I think that's a whole
adorable.
Other episode, Michelle.
Right? My mom was having a conversation with me when I was 12 about my cousin moving in with her boyfriend. I said, do you live with her? She goes, no. I said, what the hell do you care who she lives with? Not your issue. Are you in bed with them? No, not your issue.
Then stay out of it.
Stay out of it. And I'm like, ripe old age of 12 going, I don't want to know who she's sleeping with. I don't think you should either. And I don't think you're mature enough to have this conversation with me. So yeah, that's how that went down when I was 12.
This doesn't concern you. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
Stay out of it and move on.
I love it. So is there anybody that you can conceive of that might be offended by the things that you do? Other than swearing.
Other than swearing?
Like, I mean, in the world of business and photography and in a guy having a podcast that empowers women, somebody's got to find that offensive.
Well,
probably some women, I would imagine.
Oh, you know what? Yes, actually, that brings to mind someone in your neck of the woods, actually.
Hey.
I had a discovery call with a woman, and we were talking about, she told me her story and I shared mine with her and my journey of how I got here to what I'm doing. And she actually, and I wasn't offended. I was irate and bothered by the fact that she actually had the balls, metaphorically speaking, of course, to ask me to change my branding because she didn't like the word empowerment, and especially a man using it. Well, she didn't say that, but I can guarantee you, if she was speaking with a woman who had a podcast that had the word empowerography or empowerment in it, she wouldn't have said anything. It was because I was a man. And because she said she had told me that she had changed her branding. She used to use the word empowerment, but that insinuates that you're giving another person power, or you're holding power over another person. And even though I had just shared my story and where the name came from and what it was all about, she still insisted on asking me to change my branding. She said, if I changed my branding, she would be a guest on the podcast. So I said, thank you very much, but no, thank you. That'll never happen. It's taken me 3 years to build this brand. There's no way in hell I'm going to change my branding because you, who I don't even know from Adam, is offended or bothered. Maybe it was offensive. I don't know. I don't know if she was bothered or offended, but regardless, she was bothered by me using the word empowerment. And so I just thought, thank you for your time. Have a lovely day. See you later. So that's one. So yes, I guess it has happened. I have offended or bothered someone by what I'm doing. But I haven't heard, at least not to my face anyways, anyone who has said, I don't like what you're doing. This is ridiculous. Like I said, I've had women say, well, I've actually had women say when they first connect with me, what's your angle? Why is a man hosting a podcast that highlights women?
I will say that it really does offend me when men do financial training for women specifically. Unless I get the vibe that they really are there to help. But for the most part, I see it as prey and victim. You don't know what you're doing, therefore you will buy what I'm selling. It's an easier sell for me because you're not going to ask as many questions as a guy would. That tends to put me on edge a little.
Well, I can understand that. And the same could be said around like car mechanics, right? They prey on women.
Because I find really funny too, because all my mechanics have been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of mine feel sorry for me. They give me a deal, which I find hilarious. It's like, oh, can I get in there and deal with you? I think I'm the only person my dad has ever seen in 6-inch heels change oil in a car, but
good for you. I think that's kick-ass. I love it. But other than that woman, no, I've not had anyone complain, or like I said, I've had women ask me, what's your angle? Why are you doing this? Which I understand. I can relate. I can understand why. But then, of course, once we get into the conversation, I share my story and my journey. They understand. They say, okay, now it makes sense. All right. But other than those things, no, I haven't really come across, because especially with my photography business, I stay inside the lines. I don't color outside the lines. And I think that's very important, especially with the type of photography I'm doing. I have to. And it's about the experience for the women. It's nothing to do with me. It's not about me. Just like the podcast, none of that shit is about me. It's so much bigger than me. It's about the community. It's about the collaboration. It's about the stories. That's what it's about. It's not about me. It's nothing to do with me.
Well, and I think it gets into the semantics of words, and a lot of people get hooked on semantics, and semantics meaning the definition of a word or the definition that we are currently using of a word. And I think that it's important to understand what somebody means by a word before you start lambasting them for the use of said word. Because now the dictionary defines empowerment as the authority or power given to somebody to do something. Whereas I do believe, and I could be wrong about this, but go ahead and, comment in the comments below, is that the word actually comes from the Greek words to find power from within and to bring it out, which nobody can do for you or to you, but they can encourage, which then allows, then embraces the idea that, hey, I feel safe and appropriate to be able to do that on my own, which I think is the intention of the way you're using the word.
Yes, absolutely. And
I think too that when it comes to finding the power within us and being able to bring it out, there are times when we need society and we need friends and we need somebody outside of us to be able to help us and encourage us with that, because conditioning has made it such that it's inappropriate and or whatever. We just got to the point where we can't do it on our own. We've tried and failed, and we are endeavoring to do that. And by being able to have somebody's help like yours, and again, you being not, it's not more, what was the word that we used at the beginning of this whole podcast to kick it off, was, you're not, because you're a guy, you have an ability to be able to allow women to empower
Mhm.
themselves in a much greater way just because you're a guy. And
Yeah.
women can only do that so much. And it kind of, I'll bring it up here because,
Mhm. Just
is the
because.
show, is
Yeah.
it always boggled my mind why the Black Panther group didn't bring white people into the group, because I thought it was kind of like, of course you're empowering yourself. Like, why
Mhm.
wouldn't you? Of
Yeah.
course you're going to. The whole point of it is you want white people to see it differently. So white people kind of have to be on
Bring
the
them on
inside of the
board.
group to
Yeah.
go, hey, I totally get where you're coming at from this.
Yeah.
It's kind of like people wanting the world to appreciate volleyball. Well, then you have to bring somebody in that typically wouldn't have played volleyball to
That's right.
appreciate
Yeah. Give them the
volleyball to,
experience.
yeah.
Exactly.
So,
So that they can appreciate it 100%. And, to your point about friends and support, and I'm a huge advocate for that, because we are not meant to do this thing alone. We are not meant to do life alone. We're not meant to do entrepreneurship alone. You need, and we all need community and support and collaboration. That's what it's all about. That's what we're here for. And we've gotten so far away from that, from community and collaboration. We need to bring it back to that, because you can't do it without it. It's huge. And, to also talk about your point where with women and the podcasting and women hosting empowerment podcasts, that was a big, in the beginning for me, that was a big mental stumbling block for me. Is, man, like, there's so many women out there with empowerment podcasts. Should I really be doing this? Like, I'm a man. Do I deserve to be in this space? Should I be in this space? Like, is it going to resonate? Are people going to listen? All of these things came up, but I think that's the factor that separated me from all the, and I mean, nothing against the women who have podcasts that empower other. I think it's amazing. It's great. But I think being a male and having that male perspective as a host, kind of, it gives you the dichotomy, the juxtaposition, whatever you want to call it, of the conversation, where you get a male's opinion or thoughts about something versus a woman's opinion. And sure, maybe most of the time we agree, but there's going to be opposing opinions. And I think that's important, just like there's with women hosting women's empowerment podcasts. But I think the male perspective just brings and puts a little different spin on it.
well, and I think educating the planet wise, it's more important that you do, because I think guys are going to be more attracted to listen to a guy host than a woman interviewing a woman in a show called Empowering Women, because it almost sounds say intimidating, but it sounds like a bitch fest could ensue. And I can say that, you can't say that. And it's like, well,
a male bashing session.
Right. And you guys do your thing and it's going to be great. Whereas with you hosting, and it's like, oh, you probably have really awesome, powerful women in your show. So I will listen to the show. Not to say that any of that is conscious or any of that, but I think it does allow guys who might have turned away from a woman on woman show to a, leave it to me to put it that way, to a,
no pun intended there.
Wrong show. That's Little Blue Pill.
Yes, we're this is a G-rated show.
No, it's not.
I know, but just had to throw it in there.
But it's still not the Little Blue Pill. We'll do it again on the Little Blue Pill.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you didn't catch what I said, that's okay. Move on.
Yeah. Catch you down the road. Don't worry. You can play it back and listen again. You'll catch it.
Exactly. Okay, 12-year-old to listen to it. They'll hear it.
I knew this was going to be fun, Michelle.
You have been absolutely awesome. Oh, we will have your links in the show notes, those peeps. So go ahead and check those out. Go and check out Brad. Is there anything specifically you wanted to mention when it comes to connecting with you? And
just if you're interested, you can join my Facebook. It's a Facebook group particularly for women. It's the podcasting community. We have about over 1,200 women in that community. So if you're looking to connect with other women, other entrepreneurial women, because most of the audience is entrepreneurial, please feel free to join the group. Michelle will have the links for everything. Follow me on Instagram. Michelle, this has been so much fucking fun. I love every minute of this conversation. Constant laughing. I love it. You are doing an amazing job with this platform, and I love the topic, and this is a great topic for discussion. It brings out different ideas and thoughts and opinions. So thank you so much for doing this work, and thank you for allowing me the space on your platform to be here with you today. I've thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. You're a hoot.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate your time, and I know how valuable it is.
My pleasure. It's been an honor.
Awesome. Peeps, thank you for being here on the show. We love having you here. We especially are happy to offend you. So if we haven't managed to offend you at this point, send us a note. Tell me what would offend you. Maybe become a guest on the show. We'd love to have you.
We'll put that at the top of the list.
Exactly. Have a great day.